go ahead. Did I already share my screen?
Yes.
Yes. I'll allow you to get started and get the introductions going.
All right. COO Executives in Transition, and welcome all of you. COO Executives in Transition is designed to support chief operating officers in these uncertain and challenging business times. Open to COO Forum members, as well as any chief operating officer or second in command executive, pro bono with absolutely no fee or obligation. This initiative aligns with the Chief Operating Officer Business Forum, Inc., COO Forum core values, and is expressly intended for all chief operating officers and second in command executives. We are on our third month and will continue with this weekly program into 2021. We're also looking to expand the initiatives with some new additions in 2021. Just a brief outline of some good guidelines for us to pay attention to while we're enjoying the session and hearing from our thought leaders. First off, meeting courtesy. When you are not speaking, can you mute? That's a good protocol. Business first. Hey, this is informal. Okay to just step away, take care of business, family, whatever. We're very relaxed. There's no have to be there kind of message. Business language and no politics. Frankly, it just works better. Meeting record, we will record and post into the Mighty Networks for later reference. We have done this for every single one, and those of you who have joined recently can go back and also hear from some of the other thought leaders and meetings from there in the Mighty Network. And then keep your job prospects confidential. We just don't want anybody poaching. We don't want anybody getting upset or hurt because somebody is talking about their job and somebody's trying to steal it. And then if you want to post questions, or you can use chat. We have some great people here that I'd like to introduce. The first being Laura Weichel. Laura is the COO Forum second in command for 13 years and is our executive vice president. Based in Greater Atlanta, she is responsible for leading the many and various activities of the Chief Operating Officer Business Forum, COO Forum organization, and leadership overseeing all chapters, chapter directors, and members. She is a phenomenal, upbeat visionary colleague who creates extraordinary outcomes and successes. We are also blessed to have Fiona Murray join us, who is relatively new to the COO Forum and has made a huge contribution, especially in this initiative and taking charge. And I'm sure most of you have at some point had some interaction with her. We're so delighted she's part of the COO Forum leadership team. We have two thought leaders, and I'm going to give you a brief bios for both of them. Margaret Ricci's bio. As a founder and CEO of Cultural Strategies LLC, Margaret's passion is to create outstanding teams that achieve all they set out to do. From executive to first line times, her love of people sees each person as a team potential and focuses on the development for outstanding business outcomes. We are also joined by Tiffany Grandchamp, who has over 20 years industry experience in healthcare. She currently serves as a Chief Operating Officer of Guild Services, a nonprofit organization offering mental health, employment, and homeless services. Before that, she provided performance and quality improvements coaching at Alina Health Systems and Children's Hospital and Clinics of Minnesota. Tiffany has researched and published work on system-wide implementation of evidence-based practice. She was most excited to practice this design work within the mental health service lines in a local healthcare system. In her role as Guild's Chief Operating Officer, Tiffany oversees financial and business operations, serving as a compliance officer and much more. Tiffany has a master's degree in strategic leadership from Bethel University. She enjoys photography, traveling, and spending time with her family. Take it away, Margaret.
Well, I'm going to start sharing my screen, and then we're going to have Tiffany jump in here. So let me get this up and running for you. And let's see. All right. Hang with me tight. There we go. All right. Tiffany, go to town.
Okay, thanks, Margaret. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see some familiar faces and people that I haven't met yet. This is my first executives and transition meeting, so I'm excited to be part of it. I'm just going to take a few minutes this morning and kind of walk us through an introduction of CliftonStrengths assessment, and then Margaret's going to jump in with a wonderful presentation and go into more depth. So I hope that everybody was able to take the CliftonStrengths assessment and that you have your report today. If you don't, that's not a problem. We can still walk you through it anyway. Some of you may have taken this assessment in the past. So you might remember it being called StrengthsFinder's assessment. But for today's presentation, we're going to refer to it as the CliftonStrengths assessment. So essentially what the CliftonStrengths assessment is it's a personality assessment, and it focuses on 34 theme-based talents, and it's based on positive psychology. It really helps people first understand themselves, and then it helps people to see others as equally but differently talented. There really is no right or wrong way to have your themes show up, and the themes do show up in different ranked order for everybody. And as you can see on the screen, there are different colors for each of our themes. So the themes are organized into 4 different domains, and they're color-coded. The strategic thinking theme is green. There's an influencing theme, which is orange. There's an executing theme, which you'll see is purple, and then a relationship building theme, which is blue. Now, these colors themselves have changed over time. There was some changes to a couple of them to be more ADA accommodating, but these are the colors that we have today. You'll see if you've done this assessment in the past that this tool is really powerful for a lot of reasons, but what I find most notable is this tool kind of shifts your thinking and focus from improving one's weakness to really honing in on your innate abilities and refining them. So you're changing the thought about how you see yourself. You can also benefit from this assessment when you're trying to formulate teams. And you can, excuse me, look on creating effective teams by looking at the talents across multiple team members and partners on different teams. And you can do that in a deliberate way if you can share your themes with each other. And then lastly, I think the tool provides an opportunity for you to think about your traits in a positive light when you may think differently than others. For me, when I read about my own input strength, it was refreshing to hear how my ways of thinking were talents rather than burdens. And in fact, I stopped apologizing for the way that my mind works, and I started to really refine my input strength over the years. This assessment is really helpful for executives in transition because it provides a tool for explaining the value that you can bring to an employer without sounding prideful. It gives a common language to talk about yourself more objectively. So I'm just going to share a little bit about how I was introduced to CliftonStrengths. I was first provided this assessment as a gift when I was a small business startup back in 2009. And so I've taken this assessment numerous times over the years, partly because of my background. I have 2 leadership degrees, and we've had to take numerous assessments multiple times, but partly because I was really interested in looking at results over time, whether or not they changed or not. And so I have taken the assessment numerous times, but my top 5 themes haven't really changed at all over the years. So I was pretty interested in that piece. You'll also notice that while I've taken it numerous times and my results haven't changed, I don't have a lot of relationship building or executing strength in my top 5. You'll see there's a lot of green. So I have a lot of strategic thinking themes. And it's important to know that there is no well-roundedness goal in this CliftonStrengths assessment. So don't think that you have to have one from every domain to be a well-rounded person. I think it's important to note that in our organization, we're really working towards being a strength-based organization. And I'll give you an example of what well-rounded looks like for our organization. Because we don't want to have one person who has it all. We believe in building successful and well-rounded teams. So I have a team grid of my leadership team on the wall. And it's interesting to see how our talents complement each other. Where I lack execution and relationship building talents, the other leaders on my team are really strong in relationship building and execution. So together, we are a well-rounded team. I'm allowed to refine the strengths that I identify in my assessment, and they are as well. And together, we're really successful. So all of the managers and leaders in our organization have taken this assessment, and new leaders that come into the organization are given the assessment and they take it as well. And that's how we're working towards becoming a strength-based organization. And we still allow people to use their own individual strengths. So that's a really quick overview of CliftonStrengths, but I want to turn it over to Margaret and have her talk about her strengths and then how she was introduced to CliftonStrengths as well.
Thanks, Tiffany. So I was introduced to CliftonStrengths when I was a COO in transition. So I know exactly what you're going through. And in many ways, I never knew who I was for most of my life. And it was only in that transition period where I had to start questioning who I was and where I wanted to go, who I wanted to be with, building businesses, that I started taking some assessments. And this was one that really resonated well with me. All my life, I'd been told that I was intimidating and that I always had to be the smartest person in the room. And that felt hurtful to me. But in fairness, I didn't understand how I was being perceived on my teams. And so after taking this assessment and reading some of the good things and the blind spots of the talents, I realized that my input theme, which is that number one guy, was showing up poorly with my team. And so once I started understanding what it all meant and what I needed to moderate to make it work better on the team, that started really impacting me a lot. And so I credit CliftonStrengths with actually changing me a great deal and making me into the kind of person that can actually start a company and bring this to the world. So this is one of the things that I do in my business is I bring CliftonStrengths, I bring a lot of different Gallup assessments to life for organizations. And so I have input number one, learner number two, and then I have what they call the trifecta of thinking themes, strategy thinking themes, and that's the intellection piece. Intellection doesn't necessarily mean that I'm extremely smart, it just means that I spend a lot of time in my head. So I love the input theme is all about gaining a lot of information. I basically suck in information, but it's never for myself. It's always to give out to others. So it's a beautiful theme for me. And then I pair that with learner, which is another strategic thinking theme, but that's all about the process of learning. I love to learn. And connectedness is this whole world is connected. The people in it, the place where I work, tables that I go and have coffee at and coffee shops when they're open. Achiever is a theme that is an execution theme, and that's actually the number one CliftonStrengths theme. More people in the world have achiever in their top 5 than any other theme in the world. But it's a theme where you write your own list of to-dos every day, and it bothers you a great deal if you can't get them done. And so learning who I was a huge step in trying to figure out where I needed to go and who I needed to be with. And so we're just going to take you on a little bit of a journey today. And I know that you're probably not even thinking this, but we're going to give you a little bit of a psychology lesson and a little bit of a science lesson today. So let's get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about positive psychology. This is what strengths education is all based upon. So positive psychology is part of the fourth wave of modern psychology. It's called behaviorism. There are 5 waves of modern psychology. The 5th one meaning that you can use any of the other waves together, and that's called the eclectic. But positive psychology, as Tiffany talked about, really has to do with understanding yourself at a very deep level, and the things that you are absolutely wired to be and that you're good at, and these are called talents. So the beliefs inside positive psychology is it's not so involved with curing or treating psychological ailments. It is more focused on, it's not focused on competition or trying to fix weaknesses to improve yourself. But it is focused on the positive things that are inside each human being. And what they found was the more that they focused on the positive aspects of every human being, the better those people got. And so honestly, as you start plowing more learning into your talents, you will create the development loop that actually excels you to the point of near perfection every time you use that theme. So I want you to keep that in mind, that this is a developmental tool, not just showing what you are innately wired for, but you can use it to develop yourselves. And then that these positive traits are something that we are basically born with. And so we're going to go into that in a little bit more in the science section. But, and I want you to understand that this is based on brain science, which we are now understanding more of within the last 10 years than we've ever had before. It's not based on the unconsciousness that was a part of Freud's development, which is the 3rd wave of modern psychology. Freud's thinking was that you could only access those things that were within you if you were unconscious in a dream state or under hypnosis. And so we want you to have full faculty. We want you to have full access to all the faculties of your brain. So, and so we're going to do a little bit on brain science, neuroscience, and then something called synaptic pruning. So, and so this next shot it's an artist rendering of some of the aspects of your brain. And we're going to just have a little science lesson. So these are the nucleus. These are called neurons, and we have so many of them in different stages of our life, and we'll look at that in a minute. But from each neuron, they're specialized cells that have internal energy and internal intuition to reach out to other pieces of other neurons. And so we have live neurons here, and here are some dead ones. You can see that they've died already. They're in a state where they basically won't be fired up again. And so the body has a very capable way of creating the great way of learning. And so what happens is these neurons cannot touch each other. And so they build these things called dendrites. And this is a live dendrite, and it reaches toward the next neuron is what it does. And so as the neurons talk to each other and build things inside your body, the dendrites reach out to each other. And what they do is they provide an electrical charge, which is the space in between every dendrite is called a synapses. And so because the synapses cannot touch each other, and the electrical charges from the dendrites cannot touch each other, or they would make the brain go crazy, we have these spaces between the reach out of the neurons. So we're going to go through a little lesson here, and I'm going to show you how special you are. So as we start off, when we're being built inside our moms, in our 9 months in utero, the body and the brain build up to 100 trillion neurons inside us as pieces of us are being built. Not only our brains, but our fingers, toes, legs. I mean, there's a reason that we don't have like 5 legs. But we don't even know how many synapses there are per neuron. And when we talk about synapses, it's always going to be per neuron. So again, we have, this brain cell here that is giving instructions to other pieces. And then when we're born, you're already seeing that we've had 100 trillion neurons here in utero. But by the time you're born, a lot of these neurons have died. And so we went from 100 trillion to 100 billion neurons. So we've gone down quite a bit, but now we're starting to see the synapses per neuron gain. And so we have at birth, we have about 2,500 synapses per neuron. And you're going to see the case for early childhood development here very fast. So the next age that we want to look at is the age of 18 months. And so at that point, no new, that's really hard to say, I'll tell you that. No new neurons are created at all. And the synapses continue to build though, and they strengthen. And basically what happens is the faster that this electrical charge goes through here, the faster that information travels, the more use it gets, and it gets faster and faster and faster. And so by the time you are 2 or 3 years old, you're really starting to prune a lot of neurons. But look at the synapses here. These reach out points, these spaces between the dendrites, now we're at 15,000 synapses per neuron. At birth, you had 2,500, and it went from that in 2 to 3 years to 15,000 synapses per neuron. And then by the age of 3, then the synaptic pruning process starts. So basically, when the brain is done building things, it shuts it down. So you can still learn things later on in life, but it's not as fast. What you're left with are these super highways of thought and feeling and behavior. And by the time you are 3, these talents, these themes that are within us, those are very hardwired, and they're the fastest way from one neuron to the next. And it's basically why you behave the way you do, because that synaptic pruning process really starts to really truncate all those synapses. And then by the time you're in your teens, and then by the time you're 20, for sure, everything has very much settled down. This is what you're going to have for the rest of your life. You will only have basically 86 billion neurons. Remember, we started with 100 trillion, and truncated all the way through. But now we're starting to see this pruning process of the synapses. So it goes from 15,000 per neuron to 7,000 per neuron. And then this is the ongoing state of the brain for the rest of your life. But basically, by the time that you're 3, you are hardwired with the fastest thinking processes that you will ever have. And these form the shape of your talents and your behaviors that you'll have for the rest of your life. And frankly, this is the thing that underlies the CliftonStrengths theme sets, the themes that are in CliftonStrengths. So now let's get to a fun part. So I want you to kind of unmute yourselves a little bit. We're going to have a little fun thing going on here. So, and I'm not going to be able to see you all, but I'll see a couple of you here. I'll see if I can scroll down so I can see some of you here. Okay, all right. So I'm going to have a little sentence here, and I want you to raise your hand if you always do this. And I want you to notice others that have the same thing with you, and then we'll go over the themes that you're seeing. So raise your hand if you always talk to people in elevators, planes, grocery stores, or wherever you go. Anybody? Good, I see one person here at least anyway. Good, okay, so that theme is most likely something called WOO, which is W-O-O, and that stands for winning others over. So that these people are very hardwired to go into like a room of 100 people. They're the people that can network like crazy. and they can get everybody's names and they get their business cards, and they just love to meet people. And so they're very, very extroverted. And this is one of the influencing themes. So we're going to go on to another one. Okay, so raise your hand if you have a color-coded or otherwise organized closet. Anybody? There you go. Okay. And I'll have to raise my hand here too, because I do. Mine's organized in a couple different ways. So I have colors, but then I also have it as to what color, what outfit I wore last. So I'm like always doing this. And so that is one of the key aspects of an achiever. But we'll see another piece in a minute. There are many ways to organize all sorts of different things. This next one is write down a list of things to do and stick to it. And I already alluded to this one. So here we are. Okay, how many people got this one? Yep. These are our classic achievers. There's two themes in CliftonStrengths that are similar. One is achiever, which is you write your own list and you accomplish it every day. And then the second theme is called responsibility. And that has a different set of beliefs inside it. So if you have high responsibility, someone else writes your list and then you accomplish it because you're very loyal to that person and that person means a lot to you. So for me, my husband is very high responsibility. I love giving him things to do because it's a way that we can get our stuff done, first of all, and then we show each other that we value each other and love each other that way. So raise your hand if you plan your way home from work. Anybody? I wish I could see everybody here. All right, good. So what do you think is the theme for that one? Anyone can jump out on these things. All right, so you can unmute if you want. I don't mind having extra people talking, but so this is a great a theme for, it's called strategic, and it's part of the strategic thinking themes. But these people are the ones that find the dots in life, and they can easily go and connect all the dots. They're also the ones that if they don't find a dot where they expect it to be, they will create one there so that they can find the best way forward. And so they typically do plan their ways home from work. All right, how about if you feel good vibrations in the room? There you go. I'm seeing Alexa here a lot. That's fun. Okay, so.
Must be popular, not sure why.
It is. So tell me what theme you think this might be. Otherwise, I'll just say it. Okay, so this is
positivity.
Yes, very good, very good. I love that. So positivity, but there's also another one. And so I want you to be understanding that there may be other themes here that are presented. So feeling good vibrations in the room could also be a person with high empathy. So a person with high empathy will go into any room and they can feel the room completely all around. And they're amazing at it. They will go exactly to the right person that needs them. So if they feel that somebody's feeling down, they'll go and lift them up. If they feel that someone wants to, they're very happy, they'll go and rejoice with them. So I love that we have different themes for some of these same things. How about if you need to pick someone to race while driving? I mean, you can all figure out what this one is, right? What is it? Oh, good for you, Alex.
Competition?
Yes. Nothing like it. It's competition. Yep, exactly so. How about if they ask too many questions? Anyone with that? I will admit to that one. All right, good. Chances are very high that you have input. You are the question askers, and people get pretty sick of you asking questions a lot, but it's actually for a real utilitarian purpose, and that's to actually gain more information. Remember, the person with high input is always trying to find more information so that they can give it out to the right people at the right time. Okay, create spreadsheets for everything. How about that? Yay. Hey, Peter, I see you. What do you think that is?
Analytical.
Yes, that's one. Yep. Analytical is an awesome one for that. Another one is discipline.
Arranger.
Which one?
I thought arranger.
Yep. Well, yeah, and that would really help a ranger a lot, wouldn't it? Because they wouldn't have to like keep reinventing the wheel all the time, and they could always find where they needed to be to arrange things best. Another one is discipline. Discipline is one of those themes that is, once you experience it in someone, you will never forget it. They're the people that keep you organized. They keep everybody organized. And so it's an awesome talent. And then here's a good one. Push the elevator button more than once to remind the elevator that you are there. Anyone have that one? I'm gonna have
Crosswalk count? I don't do it in the elevators, but certainly at a crosswalk.
Yes. Okay. So what do you think that theme is?
Impatience? I don't know.
No. So Tiffany has this. It's called activator. These are the people that want to go. You know, it's like, let's get started. So if you're ever stuck, debating things, invite an activator to be with you, because they will get you started on whatever thing that you need to have started. So, and now we're going to kind of go through a couple different odds. And so I want you to see how rare you are. As rare as this red tulip is in this huge field, I want you to feel how rare you are. So the odds of someone having the same top 5 order in any order is 1 in 275,000. But then if we get to the same in your top 5 in the same exact order, that's 1 in 33 million people. It's very rare to have somebody have that, but I want you to see exactly what we're looking at here. So to have someone else have your same all 34 in all the same order all the way down, it's 259 undecillion, which is really a number, but it's 259 with 36 zeros after it, meaning that you are and always have been the only one of you in the world. The only one of you in the past, in the future. There is no one ever like you. And so I need you to find that rarity that's within you. And that's what we're going to actually work on with you now to help you build your in transition piece. So what I do want you to start thinking about, though, is I want you to think about the differences in types of leadership. Just in these 3 people, I think we would all probably agree that they're all leaders. But if each one of them had their own television show, how would they look? I mean, Oprah's would be exactly what she has. She's very empathetic, always trying to lift other people up, very positive. Ben Franklin's would be like, oh, what can we build? What can we do in the future? I think we should try this and that and all these different things. He would be like Mr. Science. But if Mother Teresa had a TV show, what do you think it would look like? Do you think she would ever appear on it? I don't think so. No, she just wouldn't. And yet all 3 of these people were astronomical leaders. And so we need to capture those things inside us that are very different and then use them to accelerate ourselves. And we can do that very well through CliftonStrengths, the more you learn about yourself. We're going to look at just a couple more people here, and then we're going to go into what we can do ourselves. So I want you to think about the two CEOs of Apple. I want you to think about Steve Jobs and Tim Cook. And remember that Tim Cook was a COO before he was a CEO of Apple. So, and there's no way that we're going to know these things, but after reviewing both of their lives in some detail, I kind of make some judgment calls on what they might have for their themes. So again, the green are strategic thinking themes. The orange are called influencing themes. These are things that you are a person that can influence others to do things on your behalf or on behalf of the organization. The purple are executing themes. So Steve was very good at focusing the company. When he came back in 1997, they had like over 240 or something crazy numbered projects that were going on. And he actually put the kibosh on most of them. I think what he did was he drew that whole list of products down to focus on down to 20. So he was very good at focus, very good at achiever, had very long hours. And so if we looked at Tim Cook, his domains and his themes would look a lot different. Again, he had great strategic thinking themes. And he is very much an extrovert. This is the extroverted, or the introvert theme, I'm sorry. And then he's a great question giver. And he will give you 20, 30 questions on a certain topic, and you dang well better know the answer because he expects you to. So people go into meetings with him knowing what he thinks that they want to need. I know I said that wrong, but that's okay. The blue part are relationship building themes. So he's very connected. He's very easily able to put people in the right spots and to develop them even further in their roles. And then he has responsibility as a great execution theme. So now we're going to take a deeper look at them. And this is going to be a question for you. And so I'd say, which one did the best job for Apple? And it's a loaded question, I'll tell you that. But so, and there's a little pause here, sorry. So for startup, Steve Jobs was the perfect guy. I mean, he had all the things that he needed to do. He had futuristic intent, could pop ideas up, figure out where they needed to go, and then influence people to do the things that they needed to do to grow the firm. But if we were to look at the growth strategy of the firm, Tim Cook was the better CEO because he was able to bring people together to create a connected society, to create all those different things on the inside of the company to help people row in the same way down the same river and not get stuck on different things. But now I want you to see this part. So at Steve Jobs' death, the dividends per share were at $54 a share, and that was in 2011. So do you think that Tim Cook was above or below that amount? We're kind of hard to tell, right? So I want you to see that Tim Cook's dividends per share in just 4 years was over twice as much. And so we, as builders, all of us, we are builders, even though we're COOs and we want to get a new job as a COO. We are building the internal parts of our organizations. And so seeing that each of them were the best CEOs for each part of their business was amazing. So how does this help you in transition? Now we're going to get to the meat and potatoes. And then we're going to hit some breakout sessions, but I want you to see these different things about who you are. When you get your CliftonStrengths report, you're going to start to know and accept yourself and understand yourself much better for who you are, because Remember, you were actually hardwired with those talents by the age of 3. And even if you thought, you know, I have empathy very low for me and I want it higher, it will never be as fast of a talent as a person who has it as their #1 talent. You get to start feeling good about yourself. Remember I told you about how people perceived me before? Once I understood what I actually brought to my teams, it was a life-changing moment for me. I started to feel good about myself, more so than I'd ever been in my whole life. This gave me a new meaning for living, actually. And these are the things that you are going to give your new coworkers and especially your CEO. You get to give these things that you love to do and that you are just hardwired for. And it finally gives you words for who you are, that innate self of yourself that's hard to put into writing. But these are the things, and I'm going to give you a little exercise later that I'd like you to do when we're apart. But I want you to start using these words that you find for yourselves in your resume, in your LinkedIn profile, in your CV, because the more you can talk about yourself in these kinds of terms, it's a way for people to interview you without even having you present before they decide that they want to do a real interview with you. So, and it's not prideful. There's nothing pride-filled about it. It's all truth-filled because it's based on your neuroscience. Hiring companies can actually test you out before an interview if you can help them understand. And so as we go through this, I want you to start thinking of places where you can interject these words for yourself and then put them on your resumes, in your LinkedIn profile. What I usually do for people is on your resume, I would put it right underneath your name. And on your LinkedIn profile, I would put it the very last thing in your about section, so that people, when they open up your profiles or when they read your resume, they will see these things right away. And if they're a strengths-based organization, like what Tiffany is creating at her organization, they and you will know how you can actually fit into the organization, how you fit into the executive team or other teams that you're going to be a part of. So right now, we're going to get into some breakout groups. And I think we're going to have this part in the chat so you can see the questions that we're going to ask. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to select a reporter for your group, because we're going to come back in and talk about what you found out after the breakout groups. But I want you to share your top 5 with people if you've taken the assessment, and then tell of a time in your past when you used your very top theme. And then tell the group what you would bring to an organization based on your top 5 talents. So with that, I will turn this back to Laura and I think we have like 10 minutes for breakout sessions, because I know there's a lot of people here and I want you to get the most out of this discussion time.
The 10 minutes for the breakout sessions, Margaret?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to send everybody into the rooms now. It looks like about 4 to 5 per room. So I'm going to open the rooms. Go ahead and go into the room, and then you'll get a 60-second warning that you're coming back to the main group to allow you to wrap things up. Okay, see you in a bit.
Well, and is everybody back now?
Looks like everybody has returned.
So I want to apprise you of the fact of what Meredith Hollander put in here, is that Gallup does have a discount on the All 34 code right now. So if you want to, and today is the last day for it. So if you haven't taken the test yet, I would suggest that take the test and then make sure that you get your All 34 report. You'll get a 28-page report on all of your talents and your domains and everything. So it's a really great deal. So
and just one other option, James actually found that if you order the book, When
Mhm.
you receive the book, it'll send you, assuming it's a free access point, and the book's only $20 if you want to, but you have to wait for the book to arrive.
Right, but it'll only give you your top 5 also.
Oh,
So,
okay. So it's
yeah.
a different assessment. Okay.
Well, it's
So-
the same assessment, but you get to choose whether you want to open up the top, just the, top 5, or if you want to pay a little bit more for an upgrade, then you can get the all 34, but it's the same assessment either way. Okay, so let us hear about what you learned. How about group 1?
I think that was us, Matt.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was trying to figure out how we're going to figure out with the group number. So we had 6 people in our group and 6 different answers. I would say that they were generally split into leaders that focus on people and team building in some ways, and then leaders that focus on maybe more of a strategic or planful approach. The folks who focused on people came at it in multiple ways, as servant leaders, as identifiers of talent. And the folks that looked at kind of strategic approaches looked at it in terms of either gathering information or perhaps synthesizing high-level detail with more granular detail. So it was a very interesting discussion, very different, clearly very different approaches.
Awesome, thank you. How about group number 2?
Group 2 had Mark and Jody and Josh in it.
Okay.
I'll just say that I don't know if we really selected a spokesperson, but I thought Terry did a great job on her LinkedIn profile of integrating her StrengthsFinders into her profile and what is kind of her sweet spot. So if any of you have a chance to go look at her profile, I thought she did a fantastic job. And I do think for our group, we had all of us had different kind of strengths at the top. So that was kind of nice and fun to hear the differences that we each had and what we bring to the table and how we use those strengths.
Awesome, thank you. How about group 3?
There it is.
I guess.
We got it. Good. You can take it, Stephen. That was group 3.
Okay. Since nobody wanted to be the spokesperson, I'll be the spokesperson. So I think what we found of the 3 people that took the test, I think there's 5 of us, they found it relatively accurate, at least in the top 2 categories. So that was good to find out. There was also, it was interesting that I forgot who did it, but one of us was the characteristics was responsibility, and the point was it was responsibility. I think it was that we're given. Oh no, it was a list. Somebody that executed lists or made lists and then executed it. And we're all COOs, and as second in command, that's basically what we do. We're given a list, and then we execute the vision of the CEO. There was also a healthy amount of skepticism about how this could be used with the complexity of personalities in different people. It's so dynamic, and also how it could be used without starting to label people and have it to start deteriorate into a bunch of labeling, which was actually my experience. So there you go.
Awesome, thank you. How about group 4?
Or is that us?
Yeah, I had Adam and Tracy Jefferson in it. Who
Yep.
else was in there?
Yep,
Okay,
that's us.
yeah, that's 4.
Yeah. Hi, this is John. Yeah, out of the 5 of us, there were 3 that took the assessment here. And I would say 3 things. One was results were consistent over time. So folks had an opportunity to reflect back over years past and read current reports and sense that they are who they are, and we're consistent over time. The second thing is the reports reinforce the ability to build on strengths and not weaknesses. And there was a lot of truth in what is provided in those reports, but supportive truths and also positivity that does come through, encouragement that does come through in the report outs. And the last thing, excuse me, is we hear a lot about authenticity today as leaders and being who we are. The reports, at least I also very personally found that yeah, it reaffirmed what I already knew about myself, and it gives the opportunity for the inside voices to quiet. As you read, you're reading about yourself, and so it just helps you be a stronger, a more authentic leader.
Very good, very good. Okay, group 5.
I think that was my group. We had some crazy technical issues and some weird sounds in the background, so it was a little bit challenging for our group. But it was interesting that 2 of the participants had taken the test twice over a period of time, and most recently had a new trait come up, which is individualization. So we had a little bit of discussion in regards to whether the current climate of uncertainty and COVID and pandemic and working at home has impacted the way we interact with the test, with the strengths. Just interesting that, you know, for both there was individualization, which was the new trait that was found through the test. And so, any thoughts on whether your results are significantly impacted by your sort of current climate?
Yep, there are some malleability pieces to them. Not so much that they would influence the ranking so much, though. And so what I would say is, and this is true for anybody taking the assessment, is that just because you get a top 5 doesn't mean that those top 5 are the only ones that you use, which is why when I work with clients, I help them open up their all 34. And then there's an exercise that we do that will help you determine where your dominant set is, where your supporting set is, which are the ones in the middle, and then where your lesser talents are. So for like myself, my dominant talents go from 1 to 13. And like I said, there's an actual exercise that you can do to determine right where your cutoff is. And then when I'm working with my clients, after we do that exercise, I tell them, I don't want to ever hear you talk about your top 5 again. I want you to talk about, from here on, I want you to talk about your dominant themes, because those are always the things that are on your desk all the time, like your computer's on your desk all the time, your mouse, you know, your drink or whatever. Those things never go away, and you're constantly using them throughout the day. But your supporting themes are the themes that you might use intermittently. You can use them almost as well as your dominant themes. So for me, I have a file folder called label, and I put all sorts of different labels in there. And I actually color code the tab of it so that I can easily find it. And when I do that, I just open my drawer, find the colored label, pull out the folder, grab whatever I need, and then put it right back in my drawer again the same way. And so those are called your supporting themes. You can use them, you just don't use them as often as the things that are on your desk. And then your lesser themes, you can use them, but it takes a lot of effort and you don't have that much capacity. And you hate to use them. It's like, oh. So for me, my last one is consistency. Oh my gosh, I hate consistency. I'm sorry. It's like, no, I like variety. One of my dominant themes is adaptability, which is almost the exact opposite of consistency. So it's like, I can be consistent if I have to. I mean, you can tell the energy like drain from you when you have to use one of those things that are at your very bottom. But then the thing with your lesser themes is you like throw it back in your drawer. You don't even care where you put it because you don't want to use it again. And then in 3 months, you have to use it again and you think, oh, darn, where did I put that thing? And so you're like fishing through your drawer. It takes you like 5 minutes to find what you're looking for because it's nothing that you normally use. So it's all about capacity, your bandwidth, you know, what makes the most sense for you to use in the moment to get your stuff done. And many times you can use a top theme and shift it just a little bit to get something that's on your bottom register. Like, I'll just tell you that woo is not one of mine. I can't win others over. I can't go into a huge networking meeting and shake everybody's hand. I'm an introvert. I mean, I die every time I have to go to a networking meeting. But if I can look through the lenses of input, learner, and connectedness, I can do a relatively really good job. And sometimes I can actually outpace the woo people because I go in depth. I want to know more information. I want to learn about people, and I want to find the things that they need the most. What do they need? Do they need a new client? What can I help them find, a new partner or a new employee? Those are the things that jazz me. And so if I can look through those lenses in a networking meeting, I can do pretty darn good. And so it's all about shifting your mindset when you're presented with a case that's not in your, not in your dominant set. Does that help?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So did we get all the way through our groups? I think we might have. Okay.
We did. We got through all 5.
And I apologize. I think we've gone over a little bit here. So I'm going to share my screen because there's just a little bit left to our presentation. And then we're going to have a Q&A session here. So bear with me as I get this up and running again. To do this. Okay. So you did amazing at discovering things about each other, right? I love some of the questions you had. And I hope that you feel comfy in asking those questions for in a little bit. So, so here's the exercise that I'd like you to do later on to help yourselves in transition. And this is all about getting the words for who you are at your core. So first of all, if you have your top 5 report, you'll get 2 reports, or if you get your top 5, yeah. You'll get 2 reports. One's called the signature theme report, and the other one is called the insights report. And the difference between the 2 is the signature themes report. If you have, say, discipline as one of your top 5, you and every other person that has discipline in their top 5 will get that same paragraph, exactly, verbatim. But if you look at your insights report, that is actually the nuanced report. That takes into account all of your 34 themes. Even if you only got your top 5, it has insights from every piece of you. And you'll, if you compare the one to the other, you'll find many more sentences inside the insights report that are really you at your core. And so that takes in the ranking of all 34 of your talents. So I want you to grab that report, that insights report. Here's what I want you to do. And this will be in the video, so you can go back and review this again when you have some time. So, and if you get your all 34 report, you're going to want to look at pages 2 through 11 for this exercise. But I want you to go through every one of your top 5 talents, and I want you to highlight the sentences that resonate with you. So some of the sentences might not resonate with you at all, and so just leave them blank, but just highlight the ones that do. And then from the highlighted sentences, I want you to pick words out that you can add into your resume, your LinkedIn profile, or your CV, because these are the strong things that you are. And these are the things that can help your prospective employers understand you at a gut level. And then I'd like you to recraft portions of your resume and LinkedIn profile to use these words. And I had talked to you about, where to put them, like on your resume, it's at the top, and in your LinkedIn profile, it's at the bottom of your about section. But see if you can sprinkle some of these words inside both of any of the stuff that you're talking about, so that you can capture the essence of you for employers. Because there's nothing better than you being you. And so as we leave this part, I just want to, flowers are beautiful. I'm a flower person. So And I love a field full of flowers, and this field is completely full of yellow daisies. But what is the difference between showing up as a yellow daisy and showing up as a yellow daisy inside a field of completely other different colors? There's variety, there's ways to partner, there's ways to bring out the best in us. And isn't it more interesting what we bring? Because you want to be who you were created to be. And you want to be the perfect fit for your new work life. And that means where you fit as well as how your new company fits you. So when you do these things and start to understand yourself a little bit more, you get to bring the flavor of your life into this new organization. So with that, I am gonna stop screen sharing and I'm gonna open it up for Tiffany first and then get into some Q&A. If you need to leave, that's fine. You can catch the rest of the video after we're done.
Okay, so I just have a question or two to kick us off real quick for Margaret. After sitting through the presentation and joining a chat room. So I heard other people talk about this, Margaret, and this question has been on my mind for a while. As I mentioned earlier, I've taken the CliftonStrengths assessment numerous times for probably a decade, and I just want to know your thoughts on the benefit or maybe not of taking this assessment over and over again. What are your thoughts on that? Can that hurt or help others by repeatedly taking it?
Well, there's two avenues of thought. One is if it really resonates with you, you can feel free to just live in that assessment, live in the results from that one. The other thought is that, you're in different parts of your life all the way through, and you have a developmental process that might be kind of curvy sometimes, and might bring out some other things later on. But again, we had talked about the difference between dominant and supporting themes. If you would open up your full 34, you would likely see some of those things that may have popped up the last couple times. They're right underneath that top 5. And so again, it's more about developing the pieces of you that are in the dominant set. And so you can see how they kind of ebb and flow throughout your life. But at the same time, it's perfectly fine to just take it one time. And if it really resonates with you, just go with it and then start developing yourself. There are different pieces that Gallup will give you after you take the assessment to help you develop your talents. And so I would focus on those things. So 2 ways.
That's helpful. I mean, I don't see anything in my bottom 10 that have risen over the 10 years. So
no, and they likely won't. It's not, by the way, it's not a good use of your time to try to develop those things that are at your lower register because you're just not strong in those. Okay, go ahead.
I found it's helped me really refine those dominant ones over the years and better know myself. I just have one other question. I want to make sure there's time for others to ask questions as well. So how do I, and I want to make sure I captured this, how can I use these results to really determine if, what my true passions are and making sure that I'm working within those? If I'm looking to maybe I'm not in transition now, but I'm looking ahead to the future, knowing that I might be in transition in the next year or 2, or if I want to take that leap, but I'm unsure, how do I make sure I use these results to know those passions and assess what I'm doing right now against that?
Oh, perfect question. So, so there are 5 different clues to your talents. And so I'm gonna talk about them real quickly. The first one is yearning. So it's you're asking yourself, what do I long to do? What are the things that, it's always appeared to me that I wanted to do, maybe stained glass art or whatever, or learn a different type of thing. You need to pay attention to that because that's actually a clue to your talents. The second one is called rapid learning. And that's what do you pick up very fast, faster than most people so that you actually almost know all the steps to do it. And you're like, how did I ever know how to do that? That's called rapid learning. The next part is called glimpses of excellence. So you may do something, and when you're done, you're thinking, how did I know how to do that so well? And you just kind of sit back and are amazed. And it's like that. So that's another clue to one of your passions is to actually, so you need to follow up on these things. The fourth one is called satisfaction. So it's when you've done something and you've done it really well, and you know you've done it really well, and you can't wait to do it again. That's something you need to pay attention to as well. And so the last one is called flow. It's the experience of timelessness. When you're in the throes of doing something and you don't even realize that 2 hours have passed, and you only thought it was like 5 minutes. I mean, everybody's experienced that, but when your mindset is tuned to the fact that you're looking for those opportunities, that helps you find what you're passionate about, and then you need to continue in that vein and expand that, figure out how that leads into your passions and what you really want to do. Does that help?
Very much, thank you.
Okay. So I guess I'll just open it up for questions if you want to ask questions.
Margaret, this is Mark Myers. Quick question related to career changers. I've slightly shifted careers, and I've had a major change in careers. What kind of takeaways can I get from my 34 themes or my top 5, or maybe if I were to take it again, how do I interpret the themes to perhaps a desire to change careers?
Oh, good question. I would direct you back into those things that we had just talked about the 5 clues to talent, because if you start thinking about some of the times in the past where you've had some of those things happen to you, and then relate it to those things that are your strong talents, you will probably find some ways that they translate into possibly a new avenue. I mean, for me, that's how I became who I am right now, is I decided to create a business, and I love, this is what I was meant to do forever and ever. And I will tell you, there's nothing better than living within your strengths and working and helping other people do what they need to do.
Margaret, this is Stephen Geller.
Yeah.
Hi, and this might, I'm not sure, this might also be for Tiffany. So how do you avoid labeling when you're working in a group, when you take these assessments? And because this is what happened in the company that I worked in, 25 years ago. Most of my work has been in startups, and it just became a labeling process where you're the futurist, you're the responsible one. It became labeling, and it became unproductive, because good ideas can come from anywhere. Other people have other talents, and the mixture is complex. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So part of it is that in some organizations, they don't, they just take the assessment, right? And they don't develop people based on the assessment. So if you're at that, that kind of starting level of just taking the assessment, finding out who you are, and don't actually develop people, then there's not the possibility to actually gain the pieces that are needful for partnering with teams. And so the labeling starts to happen, and it's like, I have a problem with these kind of people, or, you'll always find people that you're going to have some problems with. But if you, like one of the companies that I work with, they've created a cheat sheet so that when they go into meetings, they have their cheat sheet with them, and they know what the people's top 5 are, so that they know that they have to maybe change the way they need to approach a question to get the best out of that person. So if you can go past it for just the labeling piece, that goes into the start of development. And so that's where you can get the most bang for your buck, especially on teams. And then people aren't looked at as, oh, she's just an input person, she's going to talk forever.
Okay, let's take one more question, wrap it up. And is there one more question anybody wants to put out there for Margaret or Tiffany? Well, okay, I guess that was good timing. Margaret, Tiffany, if you have any last word, otherwise I'm going to share what's going on in the next 3 or 4 weeks here on these meetings. And
that's great.
Do you have any other thoughts? Okay, I'm going to share them real quick and just let you know what we're up to. We decided that we are going to take December 29th off, and you should too. So take that week, and we're going to not have anything scheduled during that week. But we have Mark Myers, who's on this call with us today. He and a colleague of his, Carlton Davis, are going to talk next week on successful job search. We touched this before in the series, but it'll have a new twist with both Mark and Carlton, who just recently landed a new CO job. We're going to do some networking breakout sessions. It's not fully formed yet, but it's going to be a lot of fun on the 22nd to give us some time to really not have any form presentation, but give us an opportunity to talk to each other. Take a break on the 29th, and then on January 5th, we're excited to invite Marcia Ballinger to come join us and talk to us about her book, which should be pretty awesome on networking mistakes. So with that, thank you everybody for joining today. I know we went long. Appreciate you hanging on and listening to what Margaret and Tiffany had to share with us. And there was a discount code for the assessment if anybody wanted to get it. I think Meredith, I don't know if you're still here with us or not, but it was shared. I think it was, do you remember what the code was, Margaret?
Well, I can send you an email with it, and you can send it out to people if you'd like.
Okay, very good. Or just email me if you have not taken it and wish to take it. Just shoot me an email or Fiona, and we'll get it out to you.
Laura, I just went ahead and bought it, and it's gift 34, all caps.
Okay, gift 34. Very good. Thanks, 34. Mark. Okay, and again, Margaret, Tiffany, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you shared with us today, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Nice meeting everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.